Hello, and let's talk about Stranger Things 11. We're going to do the lead sound, and I'll find my way back to the uh, wobbly background sound eventually. So, this is an interesting one. First, I'll preface this by you have to have polyphony. So, this isn't necessarily an appropriate choice for something like the grandmother, although, let's see how we get. Maybe at the end of this, I'll do a quick see how close I can get with the grandmother. So I'm going to use the OB-6. It can kind of be any synth that has square waves and triangles, though. So we're going to start with the basic kind of waveform is a square. So on the OB-6, we take the sawtooth and turn it to more towards square. I'm going to dial back from this, though, as you'll see a little later. So it should have that square wave sound. I'm going to have it a little bit off into the pulse, but not much. It's going to be mostly a square. So then the next thing I thought was, okay, so this is really a pluck. So that's a short attack. That's a sustain at 0. The release kind of doesn't matter because the sustain is already taking it to 0. And then the decay is sort of like we have to find the right note length. So it can be too short, right? It has to breathe a little bit. So we're going to give it about that much. Now, the next thing is there is a little bit of a filter bump happening, not much. So, what I thought was, we'll turn the filter really far down, the resonance all the way down, and it'll kind of sound like nothing. Then we'll go into our filter. We'll do basically mirror our settings to our volume envelope. And then it's just kind of like amount to taste. So if I go up all the way with the amount that this envelope is affecting the filter, it's like noticeable. We don't want noticeable, and this is more like electric piano sound anyway. It's not so synthy, so it's not like tremendous movement of a filter, right? So let's just kind of find a place here. The next thing I thought was, okay, if we're going to use just so little amount, we have to find the right place on the filter. So starting to get sound. Then I thought a little bit of resonance, because that just makes it jump a little more. We'll find it here. Right? Right? So we're kind of in the right direction. We're getting close. So the next thought I had was, all right, we have effects, obviously. So I'm going to turn on my hall reverb. I'm going to make it big, indiscriminately big. Now we're getting closer. So in the original track, what they're doing, it sounds like to me, feel free to correct me if you hear something different, but to me, it sounds like they have a reverb with a lot of pre-delay. The OB-6 doesn't have reverb with pre-delay built in. So what I thought was, okay, we're going to mix in a little bit of bucket brigade delay just to kind of like give that bump that's happening. So right knob is feedback. I only want it to happen once, right? And then we just have to find the right kind of timing. That's a little too fast. Kind of pick in the middle. We won't go crazy with this. Okay, so we'll accept that. Then what I'm going to do is turn the mix way down. So we're only hearing enough to sort of like feel that, but not hear it. There we go. All right. So we've got that. It still sounds a little bit cartoony to me, right? So then I thought, okay, we'll put in the second VCO because it has a triangle wave. Right? All of a sudden we're like magically there. So, I think probably the original done was done probably just with triangle waves, but the square gives it, a little bit of something there, a little bit of bite. Then we just have to find the right filter frequency. Yeah, so now we're there. All right. So, I think what I'll do next is I will jump to the grandmother and we'll see how close we can come. The thing about the OB-6 is we can play more than one note at a time, so we can, actually play that track with two hands. I'm not doing that because I'm holding a microphone with my other hand. But let's see how close we can get on the grandmother, just as like an exercise. So I'm going to cut and we'll come back. And we're back. So, full disclosure here, I'm flying in blind, but I think what I learned from the OB-6 can just be applied here. So this actually still has my Blade Runner sound there, but we'll kind of see what we can do. So we know the envelope is different. We know the attack has to be fast. We know the sustain has to be at the bottom. We know the release is sort of meaningless, and decay is going to be our control. Oops, let's turn off the glide. It's a little too long. That feels pretty good. Same thing here. Probably let's pick the oscillators. So I'm just going to take triangle waves and maybe not even take the second oscillator. Yeah, that'll be beautiful. Okay, we're already pretty close. So it's just a matter of finding the envelope amount and the right cutoff. Okay, we're going to change the octave. It's in the right direction, I think. Let's add oscillator 2. Okay, getting pretty good there. Let me just turn the filter. I think I'll turn the envelope over. That's better. And decay feels too short, too long. Okay, so then, here's the reverb problem again. We can try some spring reverb. Just doesn't sustain it quite enough for me. So again, I've just been seeing how much I can do with this free Valhalla Supermassive. So here's a little bit of that reverb. Yeah, pretty good. Yeah, resonance helps. Too short. So we got it right in the right direction. I think the OB-6 was a little more convincing. But, it's just about understanding how to make a pluck. So it's kind of that low sustain and decay to taste, and then envelope to taste gets you a lot of different types of plucks. So this is a darker kind of electro piano pluck. So we don't use as much filter modulation with the envelope. So I hope this gives you some ideas to try out for yourself, and I hope you learned something.